Alright, what is up guys, you get Chips and we are back here today for some more ITL content. Finally ITL back. I just finished work, so yep, don't have to work till after Christmas, so I'm feeling pretty good and I thought I'd bring you guys some more ITL, little treat before Christmas drops. And yeah, we'll pick up where we left off. So we're on week 6 playing against Nick, a guy in my division. So we played him earlier on in the season, of course, and back then he had Jirachi on his team, and he actually traded away his Jirachi and picked up Tapu Koko. Now Koko's a massive threat to my team if you can pressure Nidoqueen enough, which he can because he has double electrics with coverage to hit Nidoqueen if he wants to bring that. So yeah, definitely a threatening squad. He's got Zygarde, which really forces stuff like Slowbro and Defensive Mew. Mega Sizz, which is very nice in conjunction with Koko and Galvantula to pressure in my Scissor switching in Celesteela and capitalize on it with his dual electrics. And then Subseed Serp is a real massive threat to my team. So yeah, he's definitely got a threatening matchup, but you know, as usual, we've got a nice team here that can get the job done. So we got a Carmine Psychic, a Roost, Willow, Mew. This Mew kind of just goes in versus his team. Very solid mon here. Willow obviously being really nice to the Zygarde and the Scizor primarily, but if he is a physical Koko and I burn that, I can set up all over it with Carmine, and if he's special and I get a Carmine up, I can easily take it on. He also had a couple of other physical mons on his team, like Persian I think as well, which don't appreciate being burnt. So yeah, very nice win con against this team. Then we have a specially defensive Nidoqueen here. It's kind of essential in this matchup, enough said. Then we have Fizdef Slowbro rocking Protect because he is Zygarde, so he could potentially have the Z Outrage there, so want to be able to blow that, want to be able to click Protect when he blows that off during the game if I need to make that prediction, if I'm at like a point where I could die to a Z Outrage. And I have the Ice Beam to just spank that hard whilst also hitting the Superior. Then I have a Z Autonomized Celesteela, very solid in this matchup. If I can get an auto up, it just can put in a ton of work. Then I have an Assault Vest Eel, very nice. It's a secondary electric response, like pretty solid in this matchup in general. Obviously Zygarde shits on it with 1000 arrows, but it's solid as a U-turn pivot out against the Superior, as well as being able to switch into Galvantula and Tapu Koko if I need to. So then we have last one on the squad. We got nice speedy Mega Arrow, being able to outspeed Koko and Revenger with EQ. Very solid in this matchup as well. So going to jump into the game. He's going to lead off with Koko, as I am going to lead off with my Electros. Now, I don't lose a lot here just by going for knock off this turn, I believe, as I do knock. That would give me some valuable information on what kind of set he was. He does reveal to be Magnet, so he's not like lefties, he's not like a really bulky set. He's shown Nature's Madness, so he could be like Nature's Madness Taunt, U-turn or something like that to try and like keep Nidoqueen really low. But this turn he is going to U-turn out, as I am going to Giga Drain this turn on the off chance that he stayed in and went for Dazzling Gleam there. But I would have of course been able to chew that and just got a little bit of chip off his Koko, which is going to be important for my Celesteela. Potentially winning with Autonomize and getting some health back would have been really appreciated on this Koko, on this Eel. But he is going to go out to his Zygarde here as I do Giga, and that gives me some important info. I see that he is lefty, so immediately the threat of Dragon Dance Z Zygarde is removed, and I'm just going to switch into my defensive Mew here. He is going to go for the sub this turn, and I'm just going to break that sub with a Psychic. I calced by the damage on his Giga Drain that Psychic would be able to break his sub from this Mew. So this turn I'm going to fire for Willow. He does just go for the 1000 arrows, and he doesn't reveal to be he's obviously revealed lefties, so we chew those hits and we get a burn off on this Togekiss, which is a pretty nice mon. Last game, if you remember, he actually ended up being like Charty T-Wave, and he ended up luring in my arrow, so gonna have to be aware of that this game, as I'm gonna switch out to Nidoqueen on his double into Serp. So we get in there, but he's gonna sub here, and as I am gonna get up my rocks, I rocks here because him going out into Mega Scizor and Mega Evolving would have been like a decent play, but he also may have feared the Flamethrower there. So getting up rocks is going to be really nice, whittling down that Togekiss and that Galvantula in particular, as well as Tapu Koko putting it in range of Celesteela, like I mentioned earlier. Any chip on his team is important, but he does choose to sub up this turn, so pretty like aggressive play, but he also lost nothing by it. Though if I was a Scarf Nidoqueen, he really risked dying to Scarf Sledge Wave there, and I actually brought Scarf to my first game, so versus Nick, so a bit of a maybe a questionable risk there, but it certainly did pay off. Also, if I just attacked there, like I did force him at the next turn, so This turn I am going to go for the Protect, just wanting to see if he was Leech Seed, and if he was Leaf Storm there, I wasted a Leaf Storm PP. I didn't have a reason not to click Protect there. He doesn't have options for boosting, and if he's like SD or something and he's not contrary, then it's easily checked by my Celesteela. So I am just going to go for the Sludge Wave. Oh, and I'm going to switch out into my Selly here because I need to keep Nidoqueen healthy for his electrics. I can't risk having that thing take a Leaf Storm, as the fact that he's probably sub Leech, HP Fire, and Leaf Storm here, so he's going to leech me up here, as I am just going to break him with the Flamethrower. And I'm actually okay with losing my Selly because Mew does so much work in this matchup. Now that I've revealed Coco isn't Specs, I don't have to worry about that too much. I have Queen to wall his Galvantula, and if I can take out this Superior, like the rest of my team is in such a good position. Even though Selly is a nice win con, I don't need it. His Scizor is more than likely defensive, like a fat U-turn variant to pivot into his powerful electrics, and Mew can always Will-O-Wisp that thing. So I also have Fire Fang on Arrow, I believe. So he is going to knock me out here with the Hidden Power Fire, but he will be in a situation where he's revenged by my Aerodactyl if he does want to stay in here. So I'm just going to Mega Up and click Aerial Ace as he does go out into his Togekiss, and this thing is not going to be pulling any T-Wave shenanigans today. This thing is just going to drop to a couple of Air Slashes. Notice Aerial Ace, like I think I said Air Slash. Notice Aerial Ace. If you guys remember, like this boy like costs games when he misses his moves. So you already know I run Aerial Ace. I'm not trying to miss out here. So he is going to go into his Scizor this turn. I could have taken a Bullet Punch and knocked him out with Fire Fang, but I want to preserve this in case I do need it to revenge the Coco later on. I'm just going to go out into my Eel as he does click Knockoff. So very good play on Nick's part there, not wanting to lose too much by predicting me to go into, I don't know, my Slowbro or something on a Bullet Punch and pivot around. He just went straight for the knockoff, so fair play. He did risk the Fire Fang there though, which was potentially bad for him, but this is going to give me a switch out into my Mew here, as I can just fire for Willow, as he is going to switch out into his Coco. Now burning this thing would be really clean, as I could just start roosting up on it, but he dodges, so this sucks. But yeah, he's going to dodge, and I am just going to fire off another Willow. I know I can live a T-Bolt from this range of health, and after lefties recover up, he goes for Nature's Madness, and I miss a second fucking Willow. So this sucks, dude. Like 2 Willow misses in a row, very annoying. So I'm gonna have to switch out here as he U-turns. So this sucks, because like had I burned him there, I could have roosted up. He doesn't have Magnet anymore, so his T-Bolts can't even kill me from like 51. I could have roosted on his U-turn, and nothing really wants to, like, he could have brought in Serp and I could have just clicked Psychic and killed it after Rocks. He could have brought in Scizor, he would have got burnt. Zargo is outsped and burnt, so the best thing he could have done was U-turn out into Galvantula, and my Mew would have been at around 70 after the U-turn damage had I burnt him. So like, yeah, I would be really healthy, and he would have brought in Galvantula, which is walled by this Nidoqueen, so pretty unfortunate, but that's Mon. So he's going to bring in his Serp here, as I am just going to knock him out here, I think with the Flamethrower this turn, or the Sludge Wave, as he does hit me with the Leaf Storm. So I have to take him out. I can't really, like, whilst I would have liked to preserve health on Nidoqueen, I can't really afford to let that thing set up a sub and start leech seeding me. Sub Serp is so good. But anyway, he's going to go out into Zygarde this turn, as I am going to make the switch out, I believe, into my Slowbro. No, I choose to go into Mew this turn. As he crits me with 1,000 arrows. Now this pissed me off, because like if his E-Speed, he can knock me out here with E-Speed, but I need to take this opportunity to roost up. I need to bank on him being like sub DD, or like sub coil toxic arrows or something like that. So I need to roost up here, because this is like one of my best checks to Tapu Koko, and even if I do get toxic, I need it. I just need to be at a high amount of health where I can click Psychic versus the Coco, or click Wisp versus the Scizor. So this turn I am going to make the switch out, I believe, into my Slowbro, not wanting to take a plus 1,000 arrows, or not wanting to get Mew toxic at that stage, because plus 1 Zygarde does nothing to Slowbro. Slowbro is thick, so I'm just going to start firing off Ice Beams as he does decide to toxic me here. So that's all good. Slowbro, like, I think I've got the lefties on this Slowbro, and we already chew like 1,000 arrows with ease. So he's going to switch out into his Scizor here, as I believe this turn I do just click Scald. predicting him to maybe go for knockoff or the U-turn there, as we get a decent chunk of this Gargantua, putting it in guaranteed range of rocks, which is really nice. So unless his Scizor is defog, this thing's dying, and this thing going down is really nice. He crits me here with a Bug Buzz, so like but he can't. Oh fuck, I just reset it, so I'm gonna skip, my bad. So yeah, we're getting pretty unlucky in this game, as he is going to crit me here with a Bug Buzz, and now I'm going to switch out into my Aero, knowing he's Scarfed. Like, I knew this thing was Scarfed, and I knew that if he wasn't Scarfed, he was going to click Bug Buzz there. Even if he clicked HP Ice, my Aero lived even a crit HP Ice. He wasn't Life Orb or anything, and he certainly wasn't Specs based on the crit damage, so a Scarfed Galvantula makes sense as a revenge to autonomize Celesteela and my Aero. So he's going to go for Bug Buzz here, and this turn I can just go for, I think I either Roost Up or I attack him here, and I Aerial there because I at least got damage off on something if you wanted to bring it in. I think Scizor would have been like forced to KO me with a Bullet Punch next turn had I got Aerial Ace damage off. So this turn I am just going to switch out into my Slowbro, as he does just go for the Bullet Punch. And now I have to really suck off Slowbro just so I can get my Mew in to click Willow, because nothing on his team wants to take a Willow. If he lets this thing gets burnt, Aero can live a Bullet Punch and knock it out with Fire Fang. If he lets this Coco finally get burnt after 3 failed Willows, or 2 failed Willows, the third one finally lands. So third time lucky, pretty clean, as now I can just Roost Up on this or just proceed to Carmine up. But first turn I am going to Roost Up on the off chance that he wanted to U-turn out. And now I can start Carmining up. So he's going to go for the T-Bolt. It does 41, so under half, backing up what I was saying earlier about T-Bolt rolls. As now I can just go for the Roost this turn, I believe, as he is going to go out into his Zygarde. So this is nice. My Mew's nice and healthy, and I don't have Slowbro now, so I can't really switch. I can't switch out Mew. I can't avoid the Toxic. I'm just going to have to 2-KO him here with the Psychic. As he can obviously Toxic me here, he's going to get Toxic back. Now he can switch out to Scizor, which is kind of annoying, because if he wanted to preserve this he could have, but he doesn't really have a reason to, apart from outspeeding Nidoqueen if he's like a faster Zygarde. But he does always have like Bullet Punch in the back and potentially Hidden Power Ice on his Tapu Koko. But knocking out Zygarde there is pretty nice, because now Nidoqueen is really a force to be reckoned with versus his team. Scizor can't really handle it, especially if I burn it here, and Tapu Koko is essentially walled by it. So I'm just going to throw off a Willow here, as Scizor is going to Roost Up this turn. And yeah, we're going to take some Toxic shit, but the lefties are coming in clutch, and I can just whittle him down with a Psychic. I get the first like crit of the game from my side, which is pretty nice. Get a nice 36% off with a crit as he knocks me off there. At this point I'm just sacking off my Mew, keeping the Scizor as low as I possibly can for it to be in range of a few Earth Powers from my Nidoqueen. So I'm going to go out here and just click Earth Power. As he does, I go for the U-turn, regardless of what he went for there. Like, I always had EQ, Aero in the back, EQ and Fire Fang. I think I had Fire Fang for this Scizor, but I just need to weaken this thing into range of EQ, and then my Aero would be able to revenge Coco as well, because it's obviously not Sugar, it's at 37, it's at like 25 after Rocks, and I'm creeping max speed Coco. So the game's wrapped up at this point, as I can just go for the Earth Power this turn, knocking out this Coco here. So he's going to go for Nature's Madness this turn, as I do just Protect to get a little bit of extra health back. And this is looking pretty nice. I think his Scizor is just going to drop here to a Earth Power. So yeah, that's going to be week 6. Nice and close game versus Nick. Unfortunately, very, very hacksy game, but pretty used to it now in the ITL, to be honest. But yeah, always fun when I play Nick. He always brings some nice heat, and his Superior was a very good set. I think if he played his Surf a little bit better, he could have had a bigger impact in this game, in my opinion. But it definitely, like, it took out Selly, which was a massive threat to his team. So it definitely still did some work. But I think Subseed Surf could have even done a bit more work than it did do this game if played a little bit more optimally. But yeah, very fun game versus Nick. I'm going to pause here and we're going to jump into the next week's game. Alright guys, so we're here with week 7 and we're going up against Phantom Base, aka Tyler. Pretty cool dude. I've been in a few leagues with him now, and yeah, he's a good player for sure. Very chill guy, and good buddy of mine. And he has a spooky team. This man has, like, his team is something I would love to use. Something like Kuhn, Lando's fucking Kyurem on the same team, nice and powerful. His 2 Z move users are Kyurem and Lando, so that's pretty busted in my opinion, pretty crazy. Definitely the most arguably the most offensively threatening team in the league like this season in my opinion. I think me and Aki had some pretty nasty fat squads, but Tyler's team in particular was very powerful. So yeah, he's got the nice Fortress there. Not a really big fan of Fortress, but it doesn't pair badly with Suicune. And he's got the Arcanine, which just never dies. So yeah, his team is super weak to T-Spikes. So we are rocking T-Spikes on my Spidef Queen, as well as the Spin Blocker Mismagius on deck. So gonna kick it off with the team. So we have a Life Orb, 3 attacks, Haze, Gren. Very nice versus this team. Haze is a security blanket versus the Coon. Nice Taunt, Super Fang, Roosts, Willow, Mew, I think. Or like Psyche, maybe like... Either way, it's a store-breaking Mew, very solid versus his team. A nice check to this Kyurem as well, if it is physical. I'm creeping that so I can always fire off Wisps. I can taunt the Coon, fire off Wisps versus the Lando. I think I might even be Ice Beam on this Mew actually, as Insurance versus a Lando. Then we have 3 attacks, Roost, Arrow with Ice Fang for the nasty Lando, and Stone Edge EQ just destroys his team. Spidef Queen, I mentioned Rocks and T-Spikes, and then we have a really a pretty nice Mismagius. Pretty proud of this set actually. It's Carmine, Z, Heal Bell, Hex. So the nice thing about this is I spin block Fortress with this set. I'm very bulky. I spin block Fortress. But with Z Heal Bell, not only do I heal potential freezes, because dude, I'm a magnet for freezes or fucking I don't know, toxic, not even toxic, it's like skull burns or it's mainly freezes, right? I know I'm gonna get frozen this game. I know my Mew or my Slowbro is gonna get frozen switching into this behemoth, so this behemoth Kyurem here. So you know we're packing the Heal Bell, and the nice thing about the Z Heal Bell is it actually restores Mismagius' health to full. So if I've switched in multiple times on Fortress and he's predicted me and gone for Gyro Ball, it's going to be whittling down my Mismagius, and I can always Carmine up in his team and just heal back up with Z Heal Bell. Hex is going to be really strong versus his team once things are poisoned from the T-Spikes. That's going to really add up. Pretty nice synergy there. And then we have a Carmine 2 attacks Slowbro, just very solid versus his team. Can beat Crocoon, stuff like that. Because unless he's got Toxic on this, and I do have Heal Bell for that as I mentioned earlier, he won't be able to break my Slowbro, and his whole team is walled. I can also just slack off the Fusion Bolts from Kyurem. Unless he's Z Fusion Bolt, he won't be able to break my Slowbro. After a couple of Carmines, I take on Manectric too. So going to jump into the game. He's brought a very threatening looking team, a lot of the ones I expected. So going to jump into this. So I'm going to lead off with Mew, as he does lead off with Kyurem. And this turn, I am just going to switch out into my Slowbro, wanting to scout for the Z Freeze Shock there. I may not have been creeping this Kyurem. For some reason, I may have just been creeping Lando, but I think I switched out into Mew, fearing the Scarf, because Mew's so important in this game, and Slowbro is a pretty solid scout for that. So turn 1, or maybe perhaps I just didn't want to get frozen and I had a feeling I'd get frozen or something like that, but turn 1, I'm going to get frozen with my Slowbro. Not the end of the world, obviously, because we have Scald and Heal Bell. Just funny, just putting my team building kind of in, just showing why it's important to run stuff like Heal Bell. So this turn, I am going to switch out into my Mew, wanting to scout for the Z Fusion Bolt, as he's going to sub up and reveal lefties. Now this is a big sigh of relief, because I don't have to worry about this thing being Z move. It potentially means that his Arrow is Z move, unless it's a defensive set to check stuff like my Aerodactyl on my team. So I'm going to taunt this turn, as he does go for Ice Beam, wanting to scout for Toxic there. So he's already firing off the beams, looking for another freeze. And this turn I am just going to Super Fang in there, break his sub. He's going to be chipping me down with the Ice Beam, and I can just Roost up the following turn, as he is just going to keep firing off the Ice Beam. So Spidef Mew putting in the work. I think I'm mixed F actually, but I'm going to switch out now into my Slowbro, as he makes the switch out into his Fortress, and here I'm going to go into my Queen. I want to set up these T-Spikes ASAP. If I can get Kyurem Toxic or just even regular poisoned, it's going to be getting whittled down. It's not going to be able to sub freely, and it's going to be providing some really nice support for my team. So he's going to go into Fortress here and Volt. As we block that, he's just going to start spamming Spin, and that's fine. If I can get one round of T-Spikes up, I'll be happy, and I can then switch into my Mismagius to block the Spin, as he does go back into his Kyurem. and he subs, I can start doing the Super Fang thing. But I'm going to switch out here, going to go out to my Slowbro on his Ice Beam. The fact that he's shown lefties makes me not fear this Kyurem so much, as I mentioned earlier, so I'm just going to try and Thor with my Slowbro this turn, I believe. I think I do just click Scald, as he does reveal Fusion Bolt, but it only does 43, so we're going to be able to comfortably live those Fusion Bolts and slack off on them, unless we want to risk, you already know, like, I'm not trying to risk a crit here, so I'm going to switch back out into my Mew on the Fusion Bolt. If I can stall out these Fusion Bolts, Slowbro just walls this Kyurem, which is crazy, so I do expect the thing to be sub-roost as well, so he's going to go for Ice Beam here, as my Mew's looking good. I go out to Slowbro here on his Ice Beam, or what I expected to be his Ice Beam there, because I knew after an Ice Beam I would be out of range, well and truly out of range, like Max Raw Fusion Bolt, and I could just start roosting up. But he switches out to Fortress this turn, so I'm just going to switch out into my Phaser, my Mismagius. This is really, my Spin Blocker I should say. This is really solid though, because now that he's switched out Kyurem, I'm going to be blocking his spins all day with my Mismag, and he's definitely going to be switching in on that T-Spike, so that's pretty important. He's going to Rapid Spin this turn as we block it. I'm just going to start firing off hexes. I really want to pop this thing sturdy, as now I can go into my Nidoqueen here as he does Volt, and I can threaten this thing with the potential Flamethrower, which I may have had, but I think this turn I expected him to go into his Lando, fearing the Flamethrower or the Earth Power. But he is actually just going to stay in here and Rapid Spin. So this is unfortunate. It means I'm going to have to get my T-Spike up yet again and potentially give Kyurem a free switch in. But I felt like he really should have like respected the Flamethrower there, because if I just knocked this thing out here, he had no way of spinning, and he just lost. His team pretty much lost it, like a single T-Spike at that point. But he's going to spin, and I'm just going to get him right back up as he goes out into his Suicune here. And I think this turn I am just going to set up my rocks too, because I've decided it's enough. I'm sick of Kyurem and Fortress getting free switch-ins. I'm going to get up my rocks, and this turn I am going to go out into my Mew, as his Suicune is going to start Karmaning up. So I'm just going to start taunting him here as he fires off the Scald, predicting that. So nice play by Tyler for sure. He lost nothing really by going for Scald. If he was Crocoon and he burnt my Mew, he didn't really have to fear getting burnt. And also if he was burnt, he didn't get poisoned, which was actually nicer for him because of the burn nerf. So now he's going to go into his Fortress here, as I am going to roost up this turn. And now this turn I am going to switch out to my Mismagius, as he is going to Gyro Ball. And right here I'm going to show off the Z Heal Bell. I'm going to heal my Nidoqueen's burn and get him here as he Volts. So Volt may have killed my Mismagius at 9%, but we heal up, and his Fortress wastes a turn going for Volt Switch essentially, and then his Suicune is now poisoned. So very nice turn for us. I think this turn I do just fire the Hex, I believe, as Suicune is not going to appreciate that, but he does choose to just switch in his Fortress here and get to a KO'd, or just get OK'd actually by the Hex. So yeah, that thing got blown away. So now I am going to switch out. Mismagius is still really nice, because it can always fire a hit off versus the Kyurem. It can always fire a hit off versus the the fucking Suicune as well as the Lando if it's like I outspeed the Lando, so I can always hit him with a Hex if I need to. So he's going to go for the Toxic as I bring in my Slowbro. So nice play in my opinion. As now I can just fire for Psyshock or a Scald. I think I double here out to Arrow. So I think I double there. What did I do? I must have doubled there, predicting his Kyurem to come in, wanting to only get regular poisoned as opposed to me setting up a second T-Spike and Toxicking him, because I think at this point he is sub-roost Kyurem. He may have already showed roost, but going into Arrow there forced Kyurem to take rocks and poison, and then force him out the following turn unless he wanted to die to an edge. So he's going to bring him in his Suicune here, as I will just be able to switch out into my Greninja here. So I am Modest Life Orb, so Gren is a pretty big threat to him at this stage, and if he is a calm mindset, I always have Haze on that. So I'm going to just click. I'm going to click Heal Bell this turn to heal off Slowbro's Toxic, as I do still want it to be a nice switch into Kyurem. So yeah, Mismagius' Heal Bell is really coming in clutch this game, as a lot of people bring sort of like Toxic versus a team like mine to wear down, my bulkier pink shit like Mew and Slowbro. So yeah, Heal Bell coming in clutch, as I'm going to taunt him here on his Raw. So he's like Taunt, Raw, he's Calm Mind, Raw, Rest, and Scald, which is interesting. So maybe wanting to beat like a Carmine Slowbro, so it still loses to like last month's Slowbro, which is interesting, but there's not much Suicune can do about that. So I'm going to hit him with a Super Fang here, as he does try and start firing off Scalds, as we miss a Super Fang there. Pretty unfortunate, but if he does want to burn me, he'll be burnt back, so, and I can always heal my burn off with Miss Mag, so I'm going to taunt him yet again as he just Scalds me down, and we get him with a burn here. So yeah, he burns me, we burn him back, so it's all good. So lefty's nullifying that burn, so it's kind of nice for Suicune, because if I can keep that thing taunted, it's not going to be healing anything back with lefties now, as I can roost up with my Mew. So Lando's going to come in here, the big threat. He's going to U-turn this turn, and this was his Scarfer. So he'd revealed this thing to be a Scarfer, as I do Ice Beam. Yeah, so I was Ice Beam Mew. So this gave me good info. If he wasn't like Scarfed Lando, I outspeed him there, and if he wasn't Yachi, I think I may have even killed him through the Yachi, because Mew's like relatively strong, but I'm not too sure on that. Lando has revealed to be Scarfed, which is really good information for my team. I have Water Shuriken on Gren, so it's not too scary, but it means it's essentially walled by Slowbro, and unless he's Punishment, he probably is Punishment, because I introduced ITL to Punishment. Maybe even the format, I don't know if other people have used that on Lando, but last season I showed the ITL about Scarfed Punishment Lando, so I think he actually did have that. He may have told me after the game, but that is kind of the only threat. My dog is going nuts at something, so hope you guys didn't have to hear that. But yeah, so his Kyurem's going to be getting whittled now. I can just roost up with my Mew. I don't fear a ton from this Kyurem, and I do expect him to show a roost if he has it soon enough, so my Mew will be able to leave this exchange fairly healthy. I'm going to roost up once more, as he does just go for roost here, so that's pretty nice. Mew's pretty much at full. Another solid check to Lando in case something happens to Slowbro and my Gren, as I can start Super Fanging this thing down, putting in a range of Ice Beam if I need it. As yeah, he's going to be getting low, and he's probably going to try and roost up here, as I do catch him there with the taunt. And now if this Kyurem takes one more round of poison, it's going to be in range of rocks, so he is going to switch out this turn. Pretty smart play, because he can recover up on my Slowbro as well as my Nidoqueen, so he's probably quite a bulky Kyurem. So he's going to now go into his Arcanine here, as I do just click Ice Beam, knowing that it would be able to take Kyurem out after Ice Beam plus poison damage would have been able to kill Kyurem at that range of health. So now his Arcanine's going to try and take me out here with the E-Speed, but it fails, and we take him out with the Ice Beam, as his Landorus is going to come right back in. Yeah, so he's going to fail to take me out here with the E-Speed. Landorus is going to come in. I'm just going to go out into my area here, because I know chances are he's not going to go for the Stone Edge. He's going to go for either the knockoff or the U-turn there, as he can bring in his Manectric this turn. I'm going to switch out into my Mismagius, because I know I can take a Hidden Power Ice if he wanted to go for it. He's just going to go for the T-Bolt here, so I'm going to make the switch out into my Nidoqueen, as he does go for the Flamethrower, but we live that. We are like max BDF, like well and truly max BDF, as Mega Mane is a bit of a threat to my team, and I can just knock him out here with the combination of Ice Beam. The following turn, he's going to drop to poison damage. I think Ice Beam was the best thing I had. I don't even know if I had Earth Power on this set. I think I may have, or I predicted him to go into Lando there, but either way, Ice Beam knocked him out after like poison, so it's not the end of the world. As now his Lando is going to be able to be in range of 3 hits from Water Shuriken, I believe 3 hits from Water Shuriken, but I get unlucky and I get 2. So yeah, I get the min hit that I possibly could with Shuriken. Pretty unfortunate, but he will now die to. He's going to die to rocks, which is pretty nice. So this Kyurem's seen its last day. I'm going to preserve Grain in case I need to haze Suicune in like an emergency situation. And I know my Slowbro can pretty much take on this Kyurem, as I can start Carmining up on this bad boy and proceed to just win with Psyshock. So he's going to Fusion Bolt here, and I think I Carmined up once more. I just click Psyshock in case he went out into Suicune that turn, as his Fusion Bolts really aren't doing too much. Slowbro proving why it's such a solid Phys-Def wall in the tier, so in the format I should say. As yeah, his Kyurem is going to just effortless. Not really doing a ton to my Slowbro, and we are stalling him out of his roost. I can start Carmining up more if I want to, but keeping this thing low and in range of stuff like Dark Pulse from Gren, stuff like Stone Edge from Arrow is pretty nice. I'm just going to heal up in case he crits me, and and now I can click Calm Mind once more, as he does bring in his Suicune here, and I think he may try and roll me out here. He does try and roll me out this turn, and this is going to leave Suicune very low, as it's now going to be in range of my Gren's Dark Pulse, and because like this thing is essentially dead, I can afford to sack off Gren. I don't have to keep Haze around. That thing's dead, and now everything basically dies to rocks. Kyurem's going to come in here and pretty much drop to the Stone Edge from my arrow, and his Lando is going to die to rocks there. So yeah, pretty fun game versus Tyler. Definitely glad I could show off Heal Bell on Mismagius. Mismagius is like a steal at tier 5. This is a tier draft, so yeah, Mismagius is in the bottom tier, and as a Z move user, as a secondary Z move, if you can have like more than one Zmon on a team, definitely like think about Mismagius as a low tier ghost. This thing is really solid, very solid Revenger, and nasty plot plus like even like Calm Mind plus Z move is just like disgusting. So yeah, definitely a solid underrated mon in my opinion. But yeah, fun game versus Tyler. Gonna pause it here and jump into next week. Alright guys, we are back, and we got facing off against Trevor this week. So Sheer Force, he goes by T Daddy YouTube on Showdown now. So yeah, very good friend of mine, very solid player as well. I think we faced him week 1 or like week 2 or something of the ITL this season. So we faced him earlier, and Gren like really gave him the work. So this time around, I really feel like he's gonna have prep for Gren. He's gonna have like some kind of text like taken on, because Gren just like demolished his team last game. You see he's got the Golbat there, which is solid. Like that thing is probably Spit F to be able to check like Ice Beam from Gren. So he's going to have a few tricks up his sleeve for sure. He brings a pretty interesting team. Zubstrike is really annoying for my team, honestly, because that thing has Sap Zipper, and it basically checks Shaman if I don't bring Toxic, and I'm Sub-Leech. I'm like Sub-Leech, Seed Flare, and Synthesis, I think, or like Giga Drain and Synthesis, something like that. So I'm walled by this Zebra, which is annoying, and if he is Sap Zipper Azu, he also like walls my Shaman. So that's something I was definitely fearing. I was thinking like Whirlpool Perish Trap would definitely be something he might bring, and that's going to really play into how I play around his Azu. So I've got a Colbur. He also had a Sneasel on his team, so I've got Colbur, Drain Punch, Mew, which is solid for the Lopunny and the Sneasel, so that's pretty nice. Ice Beam hits this Golbat. It hits something else on his team. He had something like really weak to Ice Beam, so that's why I brought it. And then I have an Auto Z-Fly Selly, can really put in the work if I can weaken down this Zeb Striker and the Golbat. And the Snorlax, obviously, because I am special, so Snorlax kind of walls me. Then I've got a pretty bulky offensive arrow, which is a pretty nice solid wink on. If you look at his team, like a bar, like a Scarfed Zip Striker, I can really beat down his team. And then I've got the Shaman set I mentioned earlier. Then I have Life Orb, like mixed attacking Gren, very nice there. I've got Gunk Shot for Azu if I need it. And then I have Rocky Helmet, Calm Mind, Psychic Slowbro, which just destroys his team. It's pretty nice. It's pretty nice wink on. Pretty nice switching to Lop too. So I'm going to lead off with arrows. He does lead off with the Azu. Now this thing is spooky because Shaman is such an obvious switch in, as is Slowbro, to like a Bandit player off or something like that, or just like any sort of Azu set. Like Belly Drum like is spooky, because if I go into a Slowbro on a Belly Drum, he can kill me with player off or knock off the next turn. If he's Sap Zipper and I go into either my Slowbro or my Shaman on his Whirlpool, he can Perish Trap me and remove 2 huge important mons in this game. So I'm actually going to throw away Arrow turn 1 to gain valuable information on this Azu, and to get damage off putting in range of Gunk Shot. So this may seem like a weird play, but I know Trevor's like, he's a pretty like interesting builder, so he's not afraid to use like uncommon sets like trapping Azu or like something like that. Sap Zipper isn't out of the realm of possibility, so I'm just going to click Stone Edge here. As fantastic as a mon that Arrow was, I didn't really have a choice, because if he was banded and he clicks Waterfall, I lose my Arrow, yes, or if he's like offensive and I lose my Arrow. But on the flip side of that, I ran the risk of losing 2 potential like defensive win cons this game, which can be really important. So I'm going to die to the Waterfall here. Pretty unfortunate, but it is what it is. He reveals lefties, so this kind of backs up my suspicion that he's some nasty set. But I can just start to Calm Mind up, as he does reveal the Whirlpool there. So this is what I was talking about, like Whirlpool. So he's obviously huge power, because my arrow is really bulky, but he does have Whirlpool. He's got Whirlpool Protect, and he is going to reveal to have Perish Song in a couple of turns. So think this turn I do just click Psychic and knock him out as he does go for the Perish Song that turn. So I am Perish trapped, but I'm Perish Song, but I'm no longer Perish trapped. So this turn I am going to go for the Scald here, wanting to chip down this Alakazam, as he's going to go for Shadow Ball here and leave me pretty low, but with regen I will be able to heal a lot of that back up. So I'm going to go out into my Shaman here. He's definitely not Life Orb that damage. He's a non-boosting item, that's all I know at this stage, so important to keep that in mind. But he's now going to go into his Striker, the Shaman counter. Obviously if I had Earth Power this thing did not check me, but I'm going to go for the Synthesis here. I want to scout out his moveset. He reveals Signal Beam, and he's probably got like a Volt Switch here, so he's going to Volt this turn as I go into my Mew. And now he's going to bring back in his Alakazam here. So I'm going to go for the Roost here, wanting to scout what he wants to go for, seeing how much Shadow Ball does to my Mew. He actually tricks me, which is a fantastic play. So he was actually a Scarfed Alakazam with Trick. Very nice. I like that set a lot, especially versus a bulkier team with stuff like Muck I had on my team, which would have really like severely hindered Muck's usefulness in this game if he had tricked me. But he's going to go for the Trick there, as I do bring in my Gren, and I can just go for the I could obviously have threatened Alakazam the following turn, but he makes a nice switch out to his Lopunny there, not wanting to risk Gren coming in for free, as this turn I can go out into my Slowbro as he does click Power Up Punch. So I get some nice Helmet Chip off on this Lopunny, but I don't want to risk him knocking me out there with the Return. He actually goes for Thunder Punch. Return is stronger, but Thunder Punch, maybe he wasn't packing Return. Thunder Punch would also hit Celesteela if I had gone out into that, so kind of makes sense there. So I'm just going to go for Drain Punch this turn as he does go into his Alakazam. I would have been able to get a ton of health back from Lop there with the Drain Punch and done a considerable amount of damage whilst living a +1 return from that range of health, as Alakazam will be 2-KO'd by the Drain Punch. So he's going to switch out to Golbat here as we get a nice 3% damage off on the Golbat with Drain Punch. Does absolutely nothing. So I'm going to switch out to my Shaman here as he does make the switch out to Zeb Striker. Perhaps wanting to capitalize on me going into Celesteela, which is a pretty obvious Golbat switch in, or even Gren. So he's going to go out to his Zeb Striker here as I do go out back into my Mew, and he's going to fire off his Signal Beam. Does very little, so he's not a boosting item, I don't think, as he is just going to Volt Switch this turn. He knows that my Ice Beam isn't going to do a ton to this Lopunny, so he brings it in, but I can just go out to my Slowbro, who's at this stage from switching out Regen has just healed it back up to a nice amount, as he is going to Power Up Punch, and Psychic will definitely be able to knock out Lop from this range of health, especially if he takes another round of Rocky Helmet. So I'm just going to stay in here and click that as he does switch out into his Snorlax, and I can just go for the Skull this turn, wanting to get a burn off on this monster, but his Crunch is going to do absolutely nothing. This thing was like max speed effort, like barely any attack invested. Assault Vest, I do believe, at this stage in the game. So like I mentioned, I think he was really fearful of Gren, and this thing obviously checks Gren. Low Kick does a lot, but it won't OHKO, so I'm going to switch out this turn. He does get the defense drop. Had he not got the defense drop, I would have stayed in there and slacked off, but because he's got the defense drop, if he crits me, I'm going to die to Crunch. So because of the way I had to play around Azu early, losing Aero, like Slowbro is like so important in this game, because I've got some useful info on the Snorlax. I can now use it as setup fodder, really, like with my Slowbro in it, as long as he doesn't get defense drops with Crunch. I can just set up Calm Minds and pretty much beat his team. Like, he's probably got Toxic or Whirlwind on Golbat, but he has to take his Psychic in the process to, use any of those moves. And if I can set up one Calm Mind, I can OHKO the Zeb Striker and live a Volt Switch or a Signal Beam. So Slowbro is very important, and I didn't want to risk it there. So this turn I am just going to switch out into my Mew, as he makes the switch out into his Golbat that turn. Funnily enough, I don't know why that was the switch, but he does reveal later to have Toxic, so perhaps that's why he went out into it. But I'm just going to hit him with the Ice Beam, as he is going to go for the Toxic this turn. As the following turn, this is good information to have. Like, I know he's got Toxic now, so I'm going to have to be wary of that with my Slowbro. I'm going to go into my Shaman here, because I had a strong feeling he'd just stay in here and attack me, or just maybe go for Taunt or Super Fang there. So I do get Leech Seed off versus that Golbat, as I can just bring in my Shaman here and Synthesis up, as he is going to bring in his Zeb Striker and reveal to have lefties. So this is important. This makes this thing more of a pain to take on, because it will be getting that passive recovery every turn versus my Shaman, because I can't touch it. So he's going to go for the Signal Beam here, as my Mew gets confused, and I'm actually going to live on 1 after taking the first round of Toxic. So This is really important because I do have Drain Punch on this Mew, obviously, and if I click Drain Punch here, I take a lot of this Zeb Strike. I think I click Drain Punch or Ice Beam, either way. Crucially important damage to put this thing in guaranteed range of Gren, as well as guaranteed range of my Celesteela's Hidden Power Ground. So this turn I am going to hit myself into Confusion. Very unfortunate, as he sets up an Agility. So this sucked, like this sucked a lot. So I'm going to have to go out into my Slowbro. I'm going to have to play really trickily, really carefully around this Zeb Striker. So I'm going to have to go into Slowbro and bait him to go for the Volt Switch, as he does go for the Signal Beam there. So unfortunate, but I will be able to just start subbing up and recovering on this. I really want to force it to click Volt Switch so I can get a better matchup versus my Slowbro, versus the rest of his team. So I'm just going to kind of spam Synthesis here, as he does wear me down with Signal Beam, but we do get the Synthesis off, and he's using up his PP. He can't do a whole ton to my Shaman, but I can do absolutely nothing back to him. So this turn I'm going to switch out to my Selly, as he does Volt Switch this turn, not wanting to give Selly any momentum at all. So he's going to Volt as I get my Shaman back in, and he's going to go out into his Alakazam. And I believe this turn I do go out into my Gren, because I knew if he was going to trick, I'd rather my Shaman keep its lefties and Gren obtain momentum in this case, as he is going to go for the trick there, give me the Colbur, and I lose my Life Orb. Lose my Life Orb is unfortunate because now I won't be able to kill this Zeb Striker from full, but the fact that I got my Grenin in the first place is really nice, because if I can get damage off on this Zeb Striker, which is really the only thing on his team bar Lop that can revenge me, he doesn't know if I'm Scarf yet, so if I can get damage off on this Zeb Striker, well, he does because he tricked me there, I guess, but I don't know, maybe he felt like going Lop there would have invited in my Slowbro, which can just chip it down with Helmet, and Slowbro's a real threat to his team, so if I can't mind up on his Lop, then he's in a load of trouble. He has to essentially sack off Golbat. So him going Zeb Strike here, knowing he can probably live a hit from non-Life Orb Gren, was a fair play in my opinion. But if I get Surf damage off on this, it's in range of Hidden Power Ground for my Celesteela. So I'm gonna go for Surf here, as we get a crit in our favor. So nice justice for earlier on in the game, and also for later, as you'll see. So yeah, he's gonna take the crit there. He still lives though, which is important. Also, that roll, he killed Gren. He had a 25% chance to kill me there. It was 89.7 to 106. So he got very lucky with that roll as well. So a little bit of luck back in his favor. I don't know if you can complain about rolls being luck based though. It's I don't know. I tend not to complain about rolls unless it's really bullshit, like a 1% chance to kill or something like that. But 25% chance is still relatively decent. So I'm going to switch out into my Slowbro here, as he just goes out into his Snorlax, which is set up fodder for my Slowbro, and he makes the, I don't know, I feel like this is a bit of a mistake of just staying in and crunching here, because I can set up on this. I guess he was relying on getting a defense drop with Crunch, but this turn he's going to switch out to his Golbat, as I can just go for the Psychic the following turn after he Toxics me. So this is really solid though. My Slowbro's at a range of health. With the Carmine boost up, but I will be able to live anything from the Zeb Striker, and if he wants to go for Volt Switch, I can just slack off this turn, which I did click slack off. As you saw, he did crit me there. So yeah, this is what I meant earlier about when I crit him with Gren. He gets a crit right back. So very unfortunate. Slowbro literally won that game, but what can you do? I can now bring in my Celesteela, the backup Wincon, and autonomize here up on Lop on his high jump kick. And because I'm quite a fast Selly after this speed boost from Autonomize, he was probably creeping my Gren or something with his Lop. Aero naturally outsped Lop, so he didn't really have a reason to run max speed or anything. And now my Selly will be able to wrap this game up. So he's going to go out into his Zeb Striker here. I'm going to plop him with the Hidden Power Ground, or I think I may have been Hidden Power Ice or something on this set, or I was at Hidden Power something. I think maybe even Rock. Not too sure. But his Zebra is going to go down. That thing caused a lot of problems this game. Pretty cool to see that thing put in work. But Snorlax is going to drop here to the Z-Fly. So yeah, very very interesting game versus Trev. Definitely one of our closer games we've ever played, I want to say. But yeah, he definitely brought some heat, and unfortunately, yeah, a very very hacksy game yet again. ITL just full of hacks. But yeah, that's going to be my, I think it was week 9 against Trev. I'm going to pause it here and jump into the next week. Alright guys, I decided I'd cut it there because there's still 3 or 4 weeks, I think, of the regular season before the playoffs begin. So I didn't want to combine it all into one video, or it would be like a 2-hour long video. So I'm gonna cut it here. I think this video has already gone for like 40 minutes or something. So you guys have probably already kind of had enough of the ITL. So I'm gonna make a part 3, and then yeah, we'll see if we did make it onto finals or semi-finals or whatnot. So gonna stop it here, and you can look forward to part 3 coming up over the next few days. I'll try and get it up before the end of the year, before New Year's, that is. And yeah, let me know what you guys thought in the comments, if you guys did enjoy this ITL video. And yeah, we're approaching the end of the season. It's pretty exciting, definitely. But yeah, look forward to hearing the feedback from you guys, and I'll catch you guys next time. Hope you all have a great Christmas, and I'm out.